everyone, and welcome to day one of the 2025 USAC candidate debates. As we get started, please silence all cell phones, and if you're a candidate, please move to the front rows. Thank you to all of the candidates who took the time to be here with us today, and to everyone attending, whether that's in person, here at the Northwest Campus Auditorium, or online via the Daily Bruin YouTube live stream. This debate is being hosted jointly by the Undergraduate Student Association's Elections Board and the Daily Bruin, UCLA student newspaper. My name is Simra Mirza, and I'm the Election Board's Director of External Relations, and my co-moderator today is Shiv Patel, who's the Daily Bruin's Campus Politics Editor. Today we'll be hearing from all attending candidates regarding their platforms and their plans for the upcoming year. The debates are structured as follows.
The offices have been split between 2 debate days, with contested and uncontested candidates evenly distributed, so all candidates may have an equal level of visibility. If multiple candidates come on stage, we will ask them to introduce themselves by name before beginning opening statements. Candidates running for the office of president, those running uncontested, and ballot initiative representatives will have 60 minutes for their opening statements, while candidates for other offices will receive 45 seconds for their opening statements. All candidates will be given the opportunity to present their opening statements in alphabetical order, organized by first name. It is in this alphabetical order that randomly selected questions will be asked after all candidates of an office have given their opening statements. Candidates will have 45 seconds to respond to their question, and opponents will then have the opportunity to make a 30-second statement, either expanding upon their opponent's position or opposing it. To do so, the candidate must raise their hand and wait to be called on by the moderators. The original candidate will then have the opportunity to give a 20-second rebuttal after all other opponents who wish to speak have spoken. Then, the next candidate will be asked another question, and the process will repeat. Once all candidates have been asked their questions, candidates running for president, candidates running uncontested, or ballot initiative representatives will present their 60-second closing statements, while other candidates from other offices will have 45 seconds to present their closing statements. If a candidate exceeds their allotted speaking time, they will be warned, and their microphone will be cut off. If the candidate continues to speak or later exceeds their allotted speaking time again, then their microphone will be muted.
Beyond this, there are a few things to keep in mind regarding some debate protocols, and they're as follows. Audience members are expected to be mindful and respectful of everyone participating in the debates. Candidates and campaign participants are responsible for their team's actions and behavior. The Election Board reserves the right to impose sanctions depending on the severity of behavior from a candidate, slate, or designated campaign representative during the debates. The Election Board reserves the right to restrict audience participation in the debates if it determines that the audience behavior runs contrary to core values expected by the UCLA Student Conduct Code. All audience members, including external actors to UCLA, are expected to abide by these standards. If the Elections Board determines that certain members in the audience are hindering the continuation of the debates, the Election Board reserves the right to escort them out of the event. If the Election Board decides that candidates are harassing other candidates while on stage, they may impose sanctions on the offending candidates. If the affiliated slates create a disturbance during the event, whether as an entire slate or individual members of the slate, the Election Board reserves the right to dismiss audience members from the event. Given the severity of the disturbance, the Election Board reserves the right to impose sanctions on the candidates or slates involved. Additionally, should a disruption occur within the audience as determined by Election Board members, the Election Board reserves the right to cancel or move the location of the debates. Without further ado, we'd like to call the candidate for Community Service Commissioner, Edison Chua.
Good evening, Edison. When you're ready, please begin with your 60-second opening statement.
Hi everyone. My name is Edison. I'm currently a second-year Econ and Computer Science major. I'm running for Community Service Commissioner. At the heart of my platforms is the desire to create a welcoming and supportive environment for anyone who is driven to serve their communities and to make change in their communities. I recognize that every community here at UCLA is diverse and they have their own needs. And I believe that the best advocates and the best representatives are the ones who come from within. And so through CSC, I hope to create a supportive environment to empower these individuals to step up, create change, and to make UCLA a better place for all UCLA students. Thank you.
Thank you. For your question, how will you increase student participation in community service and otherwise expand the reach of service programs? You have 45 seconds.
So currently at this rate, I think we have done a good job in terms of engaging students who have a passion for service. I think that many students come to UCLA looking for practical experiences to improve their knowledge and technical backgrounds in certain areas. And so one of my platforms is to push for more skills-based volunteering, where when we are publicizing volunteering opportunities, we highlight the skills that will be applied during this scenario. And through that, I hope to make volunteering and service a more, just to make it more welcoming towards individuals who may not have considered volunteering before.
Thank you. Your next question is, how will you ensure that projects are sustainable and impactful, leaving a legacy beyond your tenure? You'll again have 45 seconds.
So when it comes to the projects that work with CSE, we currently have an internal system to assess how the projects have performed year on year. And through this system, we actually engage with the project leadership as well as the members. So we invite them to share their reflections, share about some of the challenges that they face and where they think that project can progress moving forward. And every year at the start of the school year, we sit down with every single project. We talk to them about their goals for the upcoming year. And we make sure that concrete actions and plans are put into place to help projects to progress and to achieve more effective outcomes.
Thank you. You may now give your 60-second closing statement.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for your time here today. Having been in CSE for the past 2 years, I've come to see the impact that CSE can have in terms of working with our student body as well as empowering individuals to make an impact on their communities. And I just hope to continue this mission and to continue creating a welcoming and supportive environment here on campus. And if you share this vision and if you feel that more can be done in terms of the partnership between CSE and the student body, then please give me a vote, and I look forward to working with everyone here. Thank you.
Alright, thank you so much. As a small reminder before we continue, candidates are not permitted to bring any notes on the stage during the debates. That being said, we'd now like to welcome to the stage the candidate for Campus Events Commissioner, Daniel Leal.
Good evening. Daniel, when you're ready, please begin with your 60-second opening statement.
Hello, my name is Daniel Leal, and I'm currently a third year neuroscience student here at UCLA, and I'm ready to be the next Campus Events Commissioner for the upcoming school year. I've been in CC for the past 3 years, and as part of the Public Relations Department. And recently, this past year, I stepped up to the role of PR director, and my passion for this commission has really grown over the past year. I've worked effortlessly to program, organize, and elevate the events that help bring our campus to life. I'm really excited to be able to bring more of these events and have students be able to make those memories, whether it be film screenings, a speakers event, or just a concert like Bruin Bash. I really want to be able to give students that LA experience. The reason why they came to UCLA was to have that sort of LA experience. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Bruin Bash is CEC's biggest event of the year. What do you want Bruin Bash to look like? You'll have 45 seconds.
I want Bruin Bash to be something that everyone's excited for. I mean, it's how we welcome everybody at the beginning of the year. It's how freshmen's first real impression of UCLA. I want it to be a concert where everybody wants to go. Like we have somebody performing that is of interest to as many people as possible, because at the end of the day, we want as many people as possible to go. And yeah, honestly, I just want everyone to have a fun time.
Thank you. Your next question is, what kinds of events would you want to see the commission host more of? You have 45 seconds.
I really want us to have more festival type of events where we're able to include more student talent, student vendors. I mean, we have so much untapped talent here at UCLA. We've done events like AfroFest and recently started doing Mount Surrey, where we have these student vendors, we have even just student openers, student DJs, any way that we can involve students would be amazing.
You may now give your 60-second closing statement.
Awesome. I just want to say that I take this position very seriously, the responsibility that comes with it very seriously. I have been passionate about this commission ever since I joined as a freshman, and I know if I were to be elected that passion would only continue to grow. I'm really excited for next year and really excited for all the memories and events that we'll have next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. We'd now like to welcome to the stage the candidates for Internal Vice President, Iman Almudi and Tommy Contreras.
Good evening. We'll ask that you introduce yourselves by stating your names. We're starting with Iman.
Hello everyone, my name is Iman Almudi.
Hello everyone, my name is Tommy Contreras.
Thank you. Iman, when you're ready, please begin with your 45-second opening statement.
Hello everyone, my name is Iman Almudi. I'm a third-year psychobiology major. Over this past year, I've had the opportunity to work in the IVP office as the Student Relations Director and the Chair of the Congressional Advisory Board, where I had the opportunity to work with over 20 different student organizations and ensure that their voices are considered in USAC spaces. Through these experiences, I've had the opportunity to advocate for resolutions, plan events, and connect students directly with admin who can make a difference. I want to emphasize that each of my platforms is based on these real conversations and experience with students, and we're excited to carry that into the office next year.
Thank you. Tommy, please proceed with your 45-second opening statement.
I'm running for Internal Vice President because I believe this community deserves leaders who will not settle for failed systems. Leaders for whom justice, equity, and student power are non-negotiable. This moment demands bold and innovative leadership. As your general representative too, I have fought alongside student labor for a $20 minimum wage for student workers, a community-driven campaign that saw the implementation of paid sick leave at the end of fall quarter. Additionally, I have passed a resolution calling on UCLA to be made a sanctuary campus and to cut ties with federal law enforcement agencies, including ICE. Additionally, I have created pathways towards generating hundreds of thousands of additional funding for basic needs resources on campus. Now, as your next IDP, through my platforms, Bruins Beyond Policing, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Power to the Students, Basic Needs World Future, I will continue to fight for you.
Thank you. Iman will have the first response to the first question. How will you improve transparency and accessibility within USAC to make its work more visible to the student body? You'll have 45 seconds.
I think this is a great question, and this was one of the driving forces behind the establishment of the Congressional Advisory Board this year that's made up of over 20 different student organizations. I think in order to have both transparency and accountability, we have to root our work into who we are catering to, which is the students, and that's what we've been doing through the Congressional Advisory Board. I think something else that's super important when it comes to transparency is ensuring that the decisions that the 15 elected officers are making are representative of the diverse needs of every single student on campus, and that's why I'm implementing a feedback system in the mandatory USAC officer reports where students have the direct opportunity to comment on the ways in which the decisions that USAC officers are making affect them directly.
Tommy, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
Yeah, of course. I agree with a lot of the sentiments that my opponent shared in regards to transparency and opening up the space for students to have a direct say. With regards to the Congressional Advisory Board, I completely agree that its role should be expanded to expand the voices of students. That being said, as the current director of the Congressional Advisory Board, my opponent has had the opportunity to make those changes, to make a bylaw change to expand its input this year and has not. As your next IRP, that will be one of my priorities immediately from day one.
Madeline, would you like to close out that question with the 20-second rebuttal?
Yeah, sure. I want to emphasize that the role of the Congressional Advisory Board this year is an oversight role, but that is because of the limitations of USAC. And in fact, in order to transform it into a transformative and direct space, we would have to pass a referendum in order for that to happen. And that's one of the goals I have in office next year. I do want to make it a transformative space, and one of the ways I do hope to do that.
Thank you. Tommy, you'll have the first response to the second question. What reforms would you implement to improve year-to-year transitions, specifically preserving records and decreasing turnover? You have 45 seconds.
Can you repeat the second half of the question, please?
Sure. What reforms would you implement to improve year-to-year transitions, specifically preserving records and decreasing turnover?
Yeah, so in terms of preserving records and decreasing turnover, really making sure that IVP is an office that is transparent in all of its projects, ensuring that we publish transition documents that are detailed in the tasks that our office has established within the year, but also outlining next steps. My campaign is rooted in long and detailed platforms that are ultimately goals that are meant to transform, not just reform. That being said, with such bold and innovative platforms that require years of advocacy and action, I am committed to ensuring that I outlay a detailed plan that enables IVPs after myself to continue these initiatives to transform UCLA into a campus that works better for students.
Madeline, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
Yeah, sure. I completely agree with the sentiments that my opponent expressed, but I think that the true goal of the IVP office is to connect with students. And I think that one way that we have to do that is by weaving students into all of these processes. And that's why I'm implementing a USAC leadership training and expanding the CIP initiative that the IVP office has worked on this year to weave students into all of these processes to ensure continuity and ensure that students are motivated and that these processes are accessible to all students regardless of background.
Thank you. Tommy, would you like to close that question out with a 20-second rebuttal?
Of course. I also believe that students should be empowered to have a seat at the table. That being said, even beyond just leadership trainings, we need to create spaces where students can actually be their own advocates. As IVP, I will create a streamlined process supported through USAC where students can sign up and get meetings with administrators, including the chancellor, vice chancellors, so that they can be their own voice and have a seat at the decision-making table.
Thank you. Madeline, you may now give your 45-second closing statement.
I do want to emphasize that through the Congressional Advisory Board, we have already provided those students opportunities for students. We did have a CAB networking night this year where students had the direct opportunity to meet with various admin, including the Administrative Vice Chancellor, Michael Beck, and many other Vice Chancellors across campus, and I hope to continue this work going into next year. But I do want to emphasize that this work has been done, and I continue to continue this work next year.
Thank you. Tommy, you may now give your 45-second closing statement.
Bruin should know that I lead with heart, urgency, and an undeniable commitment to justice. I'm not afraid to challenge systems of power. I'm not afraid to challenge the status quo, and that is because I have lived through the issues I am fighting to change. As a queer Latina raised in a Mexican-American immigrant family, I know what it's like to have to navigate institutions that weren't built for us. For a lot of you, student government may not make a lot of sense, but I have already used it to improve student life for everybody. As your next IVP, I will continue this mission of standing for and with students to create a UCLA that better serves everybody. Everything I do is rooted in the commitment and belief that when we fight for each other, we can create change.
Thank you.
Is that it?
Yes,
Okay.
the IVP.
Thank you.
All right, so just as a small reminder, please try not to take the time for your closing statement to respond to one of your opponents. Just as a small reminder, try to keep everything as separate as possible. Moving on, we'd now like to welcome to the stage the candidates for Student Wellness Commissioner, Hannah Yip and Johanna Boone.
Johanna Wu.
Thank you. Hannah, when you're ready, please begin with your 45-second opening statement.
Hi, my name is Hannah Gibb, and I'm a third year studying computational biology and science education. I've spent the past 2 years in the Student Wellness Commission because I believe every student deserves access to a campus that actually listens to their needs. And as SWC's current chief of staff, I have the knowledge necessary to effectively advocate for student wellness. I know the self-advocacy required on our campus, and I firmly believe that no student should have to fight an uphill battle just to have their basic health needs met. With my experience, I'm dedicated to expanding equitable access to health resources, supporting marginalized communities, ensuring that our health services are accessible, strengthening our transparency, and ensuring that SWC remains rooted in addressing student needs.
Thank you. Joanna, please proceed with your 45-second opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Johanna Wu. I'm a first-year transfer here, but a third-year student here on campus. I'm studying sociology and global health, and I'm running for the office of the Student Wellness Commissioner, coming from a background in which a lot of my experiences and all of my non-traditional peer space compounded from a system across 2 million plus community college students where we are impacted by programs like federal assistance, where our wellness is being directly impacted by federal policy, and it's currently being under attack under an administration that's coming directly for specifically the sexual wellness for our queer Bruins, as well as our undocumented students and our previously incarcerated students across documentation statuses on campus.
Thank you. Hannah, you'll have the first response to the first question. How would you expand wellness programming to reach students who don't typically engage with USAC or traditional mental health resources? You'll have 45 seconds.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think one of the core values behind my first platform, Access to SWC, really tangibly gets to that value. I think that one of the ways I really want to bring more resources is bringing them directly on Bruin Walk. I'm a peer health educator at the Ash Center, and one of the things we do is bringing sexual health resources, Narcan, fentanyl test strips, so that every student has access to that. And specifically when it comes to mental health services, I've been working directly with the Disabled Student Union, and our Active Minds Committee works directly with the Bruin Neurodivergence Collective. So just ensuring that these voices are actually being present in the conversations when we're talking about access is so important to me, because I definitely believe that I don't know everything about campus, I don't know everything, but in collective conversations is where we really gain our power.
Thank you. Joanna, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
To the question or to my
To the question or to your opponent?
In response to the question of reaching the students that are traditionally unheard in systems of wellness, in my experience working as a behavioral technician and also under Dr. Shirley Weber's California Secretary of State office, where I'm reaching out to minoritized student groups across the UC and California college system. A lot of the issues where I did outreach with basic needs centers and implementing universal needs such as food pantry.
Time. Hannah, would you like to close out that question with a 20-second rebuttal?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate again, I have so much campus experience, and I think that's really important when it comes to actually addressing the needs of our students on campus. I'm out there on Verna Walk every week handing out safer sex supplies, handing out Narcan, and I think it's really important these conversations I have on the ground with students in order to gain feedback and what SWC needs to improve in terms of access.
Thank you. Johanna will have the first response to the second question. SWC oversees a variety of subsidiary organizations, such as Active Minds and Sexperts. Choose one of these organizations and talk about your plans for it. You'll have 45 seconds.
In collaboration specifically with the entity as Sexperts, one of my platforms is making the heteronormative landscape that is sexual wellness to be more inclusive, specifically the attack on the national crackdown under the Trump administration on PrEP or post-prophylaxis medication, specifically for the prevention of HIV contraction. And specifically, we don't have that provided at our ASH Center, and we have a lot of resources such as Narcan and fentanyl test strips, but I think having a more comprehensive working alliance with Your Health Alliance and the LGBTQI Resource Center, I think that having a working relationship with Sexperts could be having the destigmatization of this program.
Thank you. Hannah, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
Yeah. As the current chief of staff, I've worked extensively with experts. I also work extensively at the LGBTQ Resource Center, specifically addressing the needs of those students. We have a bunch of workshops, and I would just love to expand access to those things. I think a lot of students don't know that medication abortion is free for all students regardless of coverage. I think a lot of students don't know what PrEP is, like Joanna mentioned. And so there's just a lot of things that I want students to be more educated about, and with my current relationship with all these entities, I have the knowledge necessary.
Thank you. Johanna, would you like to close out that question with a 20-second rebuttal?
Yes. So in my community college experience where I've not only lobbied but also worked in close tandem with the Basic Youth Center and implemented things like emergency housing programs and also implementing programs such as like Cal Grant, CalFresh, veteran resources and working with sexual wellness on campus.
Thank you. Hannah, you now give your 45-second closing statement.
Yeah, thank you for the Daily Bruin and the election board for hosting this debate. I just really want to emphasize my experience and how my values are grounded in that experience. Especially right now under the Trump administration, it's so important that we're protecting these right to access to these resources, and that we're also addressing and uplifting the voices of marginalized communities on campus, whether it's organizing programs on reproductive justice, holding space for conversations on campus accessibility, or handing out resources directly on Boardwalk. I've spent the past 2 years dedicated to making these tangible community-centered changes, and I firmly believe I have the experience necessary to enact improvements in our SWC commission.
Thank you. Johanna, you may now give your 45-second closing statement.
To really connect with the working projects that SWC has been putting in so much work and effort into, also going into untapped communities such as, for instance, the non-traditional student network or students with dependents, and also IDEAS, which is a program specifically targeted for our dreamers here on campus. How do we expand past federal assistance programs and current pre-existing programs so that students who do not have access to grants can have subsidies for instance child care or also an expanded food pantry and basic needs closet here on campus so that these are institutionalized and don't fall on the back of student organizations such as the Food Cooperative or Swipe Out Hunger.
Thank you. You may take your seats. We now want to welcome to the stage the candidates for International Student Representative, Verna and Cristiano Slyman.
Good evening. If you begin by just introducing yourselves by stating your names.
My name is Verna.
My name is Cristiano Slyman.
Thank you. Gail, when you're ready, please begin with your 45-second opening statement.
As an international student, I know what it feels like to have one policy change throw your life into uncertainty. But I've learned that isolation can be turned into action by representation. And I'm running to be that action. Through my experiences, building my own club, hosting networking events, amending bylaws, and doing so much advocacy on campus, I have made sure that I'm not just running on promises, I'm running on proof. All of my platforms are based on actual problems I've seen my peers face, and I'm making sure that these are feasible and making sure that UCLA is a place where everyone's coming.
Thank you. Cristiano, please proceed with your 45-second opening statement.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Cristiano. I'm a second-year physics major here from Lebanon. I'm a dual citizen, Lebanese Australian. When I came here, I came here alone. I didn't know anybody, and I felt the isolation that international students here feel. However, since then, I was able to participate in the ISR's office in my freshman year as director of exchange students, and then led the office of the president this year as the chief of staff, and represented the campus on the nation scale as the ABTF stage under UCLA. And I want to take my previous experiences and coming back into use for the exercise office once again, and I think I have a previous track record and the necessary experience to make this happen.
Thank you. Kaya, you'll have the first response to the first question. What initiatives will you launch to help international students feel more supported both academically and socially? You'll have 45 seconds.
So all of my platforms are based both on legal help, career help, and also mental health. My first platform, which is based on visa insecurity, is going to help legal aid on campus. My second platform is to launch career help, tax help, and also my last platform, which is Louder Than Labels, is an art installation where everyone works together based on identity and works with CAPS to launch mental health-based reforms. I believe that my platforms are all feasible and well thought out, and they do tackle both of these.
Cristiano, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
Yeah, for sure. I think what my opponent said is great, but to think more of the question, asking academically and socially, I think academically coming from a different educational system, I struggled transitioning to the American educational system, so implementing new targeted orientation for students coming from different academic systems, also promoting more ESL workshops, and on the social scale, continue my previous efforts in the ISR's office and helping to create ISR in the cultural events such as the cultural dinners.
Kaya, would you like to close out that question with a 20-second rebuttal?
I do agree with what my opponent said, but I believe one of the main things I've seen my peers face is staring at a screen, refreshing the screen, and just seeing if there is a job portal that's going to give you an interview, let alone sponsor your visa, and that would be my priority.
Thank you. Cristiano, you have the first response to the second question. How will you work with UCLA administration to address visa-related concerns and post-graduation opportunities for international students? We'll have 45 seconds.
Yeah. First of all, I think tapping the country is horrible, and to help international students going through that stress, I would really support my platforms focused on mental health, which is promoting the already existing campus resources, working with the Davis Center with their already existing legal opportunities. Also, I would install office hours weekly to hear students' actual concerns and voice them. Also streamline their concerns directly to the administration, and concerning postgraduate and work-related issues. I would develop workshops specifically centered on postgraduate opportunities for international students. I know we already have a lot of graduate resources, but most of them target Americans as a public school.
Kaya, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
Well, I do believe that mental health is really, really important. I think what is required in this case is a grassroots level aid where each international student has access to legal aid. And this is going to be done by my first platform where all of them have quick access to legal resources and immigration alerts and are very well aware of what is going on. I think this is what's going to be the most important.
Thank you. Cristiano, would you like to close out that question with a 20-second rebuttal?
Yeah, for sure. I think what my opponent said is awesome. However, the university already offers a bunch of legal services. I think the role is not add more because that would be most of the users would be used for budget. It would be promoted what's already existing with Dash's resources, with already existing university resources, as well as the Dash Center and the Verna and the newsletters.
Kaya, you may now give your 45-second closing statement.
All of us are used to eating dinner at a dining table. But when I go back home to visit my grandmother, we all eat on the floor because this signifies that we're all eating from the same plate. I think as international students, we all deserve not only to eat from the same plate, but to have the same plate as others. My goals are that all of you feel at home and feel a sense of belonging and safety on campus. You shouldn't have to prove that you belong on this campus because you already do. And so my platforms and my candidacy and my campaign hopes to achieve that.
Thank you. Cristiano, you may now give your 45-second closing statement.
As I mentioned before, I came here alone. I didn't have family, I have friends here, I left everything behind 10,000 miles away. And so my aim now is to abolish that sense of isolation. And I'm doing so using an accurate track record. I'm representing the campus on the campus scale or on the national scale. I have a track record already. I think a lot of people have great ideas. I think everyone's great idea. But I think how I'm different is that I'm bound by realism, which is I know what the university already offers. I know how to promote what it already offers and what to expand. From my previous experiences in offering partnerships, getting sponsored partnerships, sponsorships, so I saw ways I can expand already existing resources, expand already existing programs, and advance on.
Thank you. We'd now like to welcome to the stage candidates for General Representative. The candidates for General Representative are Davis Jackson, Brett Burns, David Joyce, I see that there are a lot of you here, so if you can begin by introducing yourselves by stating your names. We'll start on this side.
Hi, I'm Laura Keshav.
Hi everyone, my name is Brett Verna.
Hi, I'm Davis Jackson.
Hi. Hi, I'm Avery Royce.
Hi, I'm Davis-Housefield.
Hi, I'm Maya Beartime.
I'm Paige Warner.
Hi, I'm Talia DeBru.
Thank you. Before we begin, we'd like to acknowledge that Maya Beartime is a former Daily Bruin opinion intern. For the Daily Bruin's conflict of interest policies, members of the Bruin are prohibited from involvement in student government, including in USAC. For more information on the Bruin's conflict of interest policies, you may view the Daily Bruin Community Guide, which is linked on the Daily Bruin website.
Now let's begin. Good evening, Avery. When you're ready, please begin with your 45-second opening statement.
Hello, friends. My name is Avery Royce. I'm a third-year MING major and global health minor. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm ready to be your next general representative. I seek to build a student body of community care and fierce advocacy, especially for the students that have been cast by two universities margins time and time again. When it comes to advocating for our undocumented international students, promoting basic resources through mutual aid efforts, and promoting investment, that is something that my office will take into consideration, especially through my experience with Student Wellness Commission, the Office of General Representative 2, and Student Health Advisory Committee. Students deserve better administration, and my office will see to better progress, health, and wellness on our campus with every resource that we have. Thank you.
Good evening, Brett. When you're ready, please begin with your 45-second opening statement.
Hello, good evening everyone. My name is Brett Burke. I'm ready to be your next general representative. I have experience in 3 USAC offices. That is the External Vice President's Office, the Academic Affairs Commission, and the Facilities Commission. I'm also a student worker for the Institute of Transportation Studies, and I'm involved in student organizing and labor. I really want to utilize my connections I've built across these spaces and leverage the resources and my capacity on USAC to ensure that our marginalized students are advocated for. I really want to use this position in a very collaborative manner to ensure that I'm working with a coalition to ensure that our students are given the resources that they need.
Thank you, Brett. David, when you're ready, please begin with your 45-second opening statement.
Hi, I'm Davis-Housefield. I use he, him pronouns. I am running for general representative to bring practical and high-impact changes for all Bruins. My platform is rooted in 5 key pillars. Know your neighbor, which brings a discounted LA marathon ticket and a Bruin restaurant week. Campus safety visibility, which brings more visibility of the resources that UCLA offers. A healthy UCLA is one that is a safe one. Second, hydration stations to high-traffic areas like Bruin Walk. And they're not just about getting water, it's about it's a new landmark, it's a place where Bruins can meet and connect. And fourth, technology and environment, so that we can utilize the Bruin alert system to do something.
Thank you, that's time. Jan, when you're ready, please begin with your 45-second opening statement.
Hi, my name is Jaya. I'm a first-year public affairs and African American studies double major, and I'm running for general representative. When we all committed to UCLA, we were promised a welcoming community at UCLA. However, it would be unfaithful for me to say that UCLA has kept up with this promise. This year, students have faced visa terminations, white supremacists on campus, and there has been no accountability for the institution, and that is why I decided to run for general representative, because I believe in transitioning to ethical funding, police and safety reform, and prioritizing basic needs. And I want to thank my colleagues for being up here today, and I want to especially thank the audience for doing this and showing up today. So thank you all. I'm excited for y'all to learn more about me today.
Thank you. Laura, when you're ready, please begin with your 45-second opening statement.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Keshav. I'm a second-year pre-law chemical engineering major. This last year, I've been the NCC for the Hill, which stands for National Communications Coordinator. I've been the student representative for the Hill on the national and regional level. So I represent fellow residents when talking to other universities, student boards, and USAC. If elected to Gen Rep, I have 5 areas I focus on. First, being safety on campus. Second, supporting cultural diversity, combating food insecurity, and career readiness, and transparency and accountability. Thank you, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Laura. Maya, when you're ready, please begin with your 45-second opening statement.
Hi everyone, my name is Maya Vertime. I am a first-year transfer student, athlete, and history major at UCLA. I'm running for general representative because I care deeply about people, and I feel that real change starts with listening. My platform is focused on clear communication between students and the administration, real-world opportunities, and making UCLA affordable. I plan to do this through improving guidance in career, reducing parking costs, and also by raising student wages. As someone who's worked at a suicide hotline and mental health center for years, I've learned that listening is a very powerful tool that can always make the difference between saving a life and missing a cry for help.
Paige, when you're ready, please give your 45-second opening statement.
Hi, Paige Verna. I'm a second-year political science and communications major, and like everyone else at this table, I'm here ready to be your general representative. My platforms are based in advocacy for students across all of our campus. It's also based in creating opportunities and communities through our partnerships with our campus clubs and organizations. It's important to be consistently reaching out to students because that is our job as elected officials. I have extensive experience both in and out of USAC working with our UCLA community. This year, I'm currently a director in both the Internal Vice President's Office and the International Student Representative Office. Last year, I was a director in the Office of the President. Outside of UCLA, I also work in a
Thank you. Time. Talia, when you're ready, please give your 45-second opening statement.
Hi everyone, my name is Talia DeBooth, and I'm a first-generation Iranian American ready to serve as your next general representative. As a daughter of immigrant parents and a local Indonesia, I understand the power behind true diverse perspectives. Throughout my time as an academic senator, member of the Congressional Advisory Board, and an everyday student, I've always advocated for students with equity and making sure that I'm inclusive and as transparent as I can be. I've amplified hundreds of student voices, and I'm ready to continue doing so. Whether you're a first-generation student like me, or international or out-of-state, I'm ready to work together to advocate for diversity and inclusion, diversity, unity, student transportation, and professional development. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now move on to questions. Avery, you'll have the first response to the first question. What new platforms or methods will you create to ensure that everyday student voices are included in USAC's agenda? You'll have 45 seconds.
Yeah, so all of my platforms consist of advocating for marginalized communities and the voices of marginalized students. I really value solidarity and being able to educate myself on the concerns of communities that I am a part of, so that I'm able to properly listen to their communities and take action accordingly. And that is something that I will definitely take into consideration within USAC. Whether following up with students after public comment, or utilizing student feedback in order to improve any initiatives or events that my office puts out, student input and student voices will always be the cornerstone of anything that I do on our campus. I believe that in order to improve UCLA for our diverse communities, as is the general representative role, we need to make sure that we are properly heeding every person's call.
Thank you. Would any candidates like to offer a 30-second response? Please indicate so by raising your hand if you'd like. Paige?
Similar to Avery, I believe that student advocacy is incredibly important. One of my platforms called Empowerment for Education focuses on ensuring that students both understand and know what's happening in USAC and around their community. And I believe it's important to meet students not only by inviting them to our events and our programs, but meeting them where they're at their events and in their communities.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to offer a response? Laura, you have 30 seconds.
So part of one of my platforms is accountability and transparency, and here on the Hill for your housing council, we have office hours weekly. So it's time where students can come in, talk to reps, and really connect and get the help they need when they're facing housing issues, when they're facing laundry issues, dining issues. I would want to implement a similar system in USAC and really publicize this so students are comfortable coming into the office and know that it exists.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to offer a response? Talia?
I think student transparency is super important. I think a lot of the time UCLA can feel like such a big school and it's hard to know exactly what's happening when. And within my office, I really want to be as personal as I can with students. I really plan to initiate open office hours with myself where students can directly voice their concerns to me and get updates, and also initiate bi-quarterly town halls with administrators and the chancellor and make sure students have a direct line of communication. And also using our media to update students on UC Regents meetings, USAC meetings. Thank you.
Would any other candidates like to offer? Brett?
Hi, so I believe that there's a disparity between USAC and a lot of our external student organizations. A lot of student orgs feel like they're not represented by USAC, and I plan, similarly to what Paige mentioned, to bridge that gap by reaching out to these student orgs and being there in person. I want to take a community-driven approach to this to ensure that we're listening to our student or our UCLA community.
David, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
Yes, so a lot of students don't know enough about USAC and what its representatives are doing. To me, it's really important that students know what we're doing. Our platforms only matter if they're executed. And to me, that means giving monthly or even quarterly announcements about what has been done and how far along us as representatives we have gone on our promises.
Thank you. Jay, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
Yeah, so I'm Director of Community Relations in the General Representative Office, and I'm their Community Relations Director. So one of the things I did to bridge this gap was reaching out personally to student organizations on campus, specifically going to the EAF here. And on regards to like USAC transparency, USAC officers do those monthly reports. While that's not enough, I think there needs to be more to be done, but I also want to address that there are some actions currently being taken by council members to take place.
Thank you. Would any other candidates who have not spoken yet like to offer a 30-second response? Great. Avery, would you like to close that question out with a 20-second rebuttal then?
Yeah, thank you to all the candidates for your responses. I think USAC transparency is definitely something very important, especially since not a lot of students know about it. And our general representative social media pages always have a lot of traction, and so being able to leverage that while also ensuring that I'm meeting student organizations throughout the year is something that I want to prioritize and I want to make in solidarity, especially with our marginalized communities on campus.
Thank you. Brett, you'll have the first response to our next question. What is one overlooked issue on campus that you think deserves more attention, and how would you bring it to the forefront? You'll have 45 seconds to answer this question.
Yeah, this is a really good question. So I think a little issue on our UCLA community, or for our UCLA community, is accessibility. A lot of our disabled students feel like they are not included in the general student population, and whether that means mobility across campus or in our learning spaces. And so I'm going to continue working with the Facilities Commission and the Disabled Student Union to ensure that we're publicly auditing these spaces, and we're building a coalition to bring these findings to our UC Regents at UC Regent meetings, and also to present to our other USAC offices to ensure that we're all aware of these issues.
Thank you. Would any candidates like to offer a 30-second response? Avery?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything that Verna had to say. I'm a part of the Student Wellness Commission, and as a part of that effort, SWC held a town hall during which we worked with the Disabled Student Union to discuss disability concerns on campus, and we also wrote a resolution for more access and funding for Bruin Access, which is a transportation service for disabled students. And there's definitely more that needs to be done for disabled students, especially when it comes to CAE accommodations and ensuring that proper transportation funding and services are available. And that is something that my office will work to amplify alongside the Disabled Student Union, student administration and two regions.
Okay. Would any other candidates like to offer? Jan?
Yeah, so I'm also the UC Student Association appointed officer, and I work directly with our UC-wide Disability Justice Officer, and we lobbied this past March to increase funding UC-wide for disability accommodations UC-wide, and I want to say that I really appreciate Brett for bringing this up because this issue is overlooked, and talking with the Disability Justice Officer and Disability Student Union, when you look at UCLA, is very inaccessible campus, and we need to continue to move forward and work with stakeholders like UC Office and President, UC Region, who I continue to meet with every day regarding this.
Thank you. Would either, Laura, would you like to offer 30 seconds too?
Definitely agree. Our campus is really not accessible. And this last year, I was conference chair for the Booker Regional Business Conference. So we had 100 attendees from other universities. And that was something that was really in the forefront of our mind because they were coming from the last one up to the hill. That's not an accessible path. And the kind of stuff we did was making a lot of maps, having a lot of info going out, and that's something we should be doing for our students as well, especially first years. Like, I did not know the accessible paths when I was in first year, so that's something I would really
Thank you. Time. Would any other candidates like to offer a 30-second response? Paige?
Yeah, I think disability, as a disabled student myself, someone who's had to deal with CAE very recently, it's a really confusing, complicated process that puts the burden of dealing with it on the student who's already dealing with so many other things. Among everything all of my collaborators have brought up is incredibly important, but one of the things I want to focus on in addition to physical accessibility on campus is accessibility in housing and ensuring that students can not only get around.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to offer a 30-second response? Maya?
I think Paige's point on housing really influenced the broader discussion on accessibility and parking on campus specifically. It's been an issue for over 50% of our undergrad population, all of which are commuter students, myself included. A lot of the times we're like rushing from class to class. Sometimes we are faced with an $81 parking ticket, and I hope to work with UCLA Transportation to lower the cost of those tickets as well as give an opportunity to make those tickets.
Talia, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
I think one really important thing to emphasize is when we're thinking of marginalized communities, as Paige mentioned, they're already dealing with so much. And for disabled students or any student that's struggling with something on campus, I think as general representative, what's super important is us making the effort to reach out to them and putting in the time to go out of our way to see what they need and what they want. So it's not necessarily, it's definitely about opening forums for them to come and approach us, whether that be town halls or office hours, but also going to them ourselves.
David, would you like to offer a 30-second response?
Yes. The problem with accessibility is that students don't know enough about the resources that UCLA offers. UCLA does offer a lot, whether it be for safety, whether it be for academic success. The problem is how we voice that to our student body. And as representatives, it's our job to listen to our students and to make sure they feel heard. So it's up to us to not only let them know about these resources, but also get their feedback and implement them and make what already exists better.
Thank you. Brett, would you like to close out that question with the 20-second rebuttal?
Yeah, I really enjoyed hearing all my opponents' discussion about this, and I really do believe, like I mentioned earlier, in the community-based, reaching out to these and continuing the current work that's being done. I think that's something that we could do in a year, is continuing the advocacy that is currently being done from facilities, from PSU, and continuing to expand.
Thank you. David will have the first response to the next question. How would you ensure transparency and accountability in the projects or initiatives you lead? We'll have 45 seconds.
With regards to accountability, it's really important that the people that I work with, and including myself, that I stick to my vision that I promised these students, and the students, and that I make sure that with regards to accountability, that's where that quarterly and monthly checkups come in. It's making sure that Bruins know that everything that I promised as a representative is getting done. It's making sure that they know how far along I am or how far I'm getting to something and implementing something to make sure that promise gets done. Whether it be hydration stations and getting that corporate sponsorship and making sure it gets put on Bruin Walk or getting that discounted LA Marathon ticket, it's about everyone knowing whether you're doing your job or not.
Thank you, David. Would any other candidates like to give a 30-second response? Laura?
I'm going to start by saying I mean no disrespect when I say this, but there's something that David said that really stuck with me, and that sticking with your campaign promises. Honestly, I feel like as a Gen Rep, when you're elected, your promise is to grow and expand those campaign promises to really reflect your constituents. Because a part of it is getting to talk with your students, getting to connect in those office hours I mentioned earlier, and through that, you get to really grow the promises you've made to fit the students more. Thank you.
Thank you. Would any other candidates? Brett?
Yeah, so transparency is a really important thing for USAC, and so what I wanted to do in this campaign is I structured all my action items to be very achievable in a year, or I can continue current advocacy efforts so students understand what we're doing and where we're at in that process. We're only here for a year if elected, and so I want to ensure that what we're doing is achievable and actually realistic.
Yes, Ingrid.
I absolutely want to echo all of my fellow candidate sentiments here. I think the limited time we have, it's our job to ensure that we can follow up on as many of our campaign promises as possible and ensure that the communities that we want to impact are impacted in a positive way and are never cast off the table. For my office personally, I want to make sure that I publish weekly transparency reports. I will be making my USAC meeting minutes available to the public as they already are on the USAC website. But just being able to make sure that I can meet people where they are and listen to their needs and remain in solidarity with them, especially with so many things about the educational landscape changing with the Trump administration.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to speak? Paige?
Yeah. I think that transparency is an integral part of USAC that a lot of offices have struggled with over the years. I think it's important to be putting things out on social media, but it is not the only way and it's not the best way to reach as many students as possible. Transparency is about actively reaching out to our student organizations, to our different communities, and ensuring that they are being directly told about what is happening in USAC, what we're doing, what we can do better, and what they want from us.
Thank you. Any other candidates? Talia?
Aside from the town halls and direct office hours with myself and opportunities to directly work with administrators on campus, I do want to highlight giving back a voice to the students and making sure that they know when opportunities are available for them to come and advocate for what they want themselves. So whether it be UC Regents meetings, USAC meetings, legislative assembly meetings, which is what I serve on as an academic senator, is directly reaching out to those student organizations when an agenda item is presented to them.
All right, would any other candidate who has not yet given a statement like to give one? All right, David, would you like to close out that question with a 20-second rebuttal?
Yes, so I know that we only have one term, 1 year, and that's why it's really important that our platforms are practical, that they don't just make an important impact for Bruins, but it's that their practicality is what matters. It's our ability and the numbers, the probability of us being able to get those things done for Bruins.
Thank you, David. Jacob, you will have the first response to the next question. How would you make sure underrepresented or marginalized student voices are actively included in your outreach and decision-making process? You'll have 45 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a BIPOC queer woman at UCLA, and my work platform, Harnessing BIPOC Solidarity, addresses a lot of the students that are currently going through the class right now and facing a direct attack from federal administration, and the UCLA administration is not standing up for these communities, specifically Black students. Their enrollment rate has been single digit since the 90s. Indigenous students are rarely talked about, and the artifacts that are found from the tribal lands are actually not even returned because UC does not have to abide by state law. And then also our API students who are also under direct attack right now with the visa determinations, which most students from visa determinations were directly targeting the Chinese students. And so that is what that board platform is about. And
Thank you. Would any opposing candidates like to give a 30-second statement? David?
Yeah, so with regarding other students, they often feel unheard and unseen, and the big issue at UCLA is community. People don't have the opportunity here to really engage in that opportunity. As a first year, I know how hard it was coming in to meet new people and make those connections. In order to succeed academically, you need resources to, have friendships that last throughout your career here at UCLA, and that's what my platforms intend to do, to build those connections and help Bruins meet new people.
Thank you. Any other candidates? Laura?
So one of the platforms I'm running on is supporting cultural diversity, and the way I want to go about that is working with the mother orgs and other cultural or identity-based orgs on campus, because they really have a direct connection with their group members that they can come back to USAC and share what are the issues they're really facing. In the classroom, Jaya mentioned that Black students do face a lot of challenges on this campus, and my friend shared with me this week, standing out as one of the only Black students in a chemical engineering class. That's something I want to help address.
Thank you. Time. Any other candidates? Brett?
So a lot of the work that I currently do in the External Vice President's Office is to advocate for underrepresented Bruins. I'm in the Access and Retention Department, which works with a lot of the mother boards and our research centers. I work a lot with the Research Center, and I really want to, I love everyone's responses so far, but I really love hearing earlier people talking about giving them the voices to advocate for themselves. We want to ensure that our students have this extra support and the resources they need to be able to advocate and access these resources.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to speak? Talia?
I think when it comes to supporting our marginalized communities on campus, it's about coming together, because marginalized communities can't do it on their own, and the rest of the student body shouldn't be putting a blind side to what they're going through and the needs that they need. And in one of my platforms, I aim to create a diverse coalition where different students from different communities on campus come together to talk about the difficult conversations and what change actually needs to be made. It's more than just kind of assuming what people need, but actually working together collaboratively to address the concerns.
Thank you. Any other candidates? Paige?
UCLA students have time and time again felt disappointed by our UCLA administration, our state government, our federal government, and so on. And it is up to the elected officials, whoever it ends up being, to take on that burden and work to uplift marginalized voices in vulnerable communities, to reach out to these students. I work through the International Student Representative Office currently with a lot of other organizations and culturally identifying clubs to bring their food, their culture to other spaces on campus.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to speak?
So I believe that the term marginalized group can really encompass a lot of things, maybe even transfer students and commuter students. These are people that often are left out. They come to school and they feel like outsiders. So I would really like to initiate a program called the Big Sister, Big Brother program, where every incoming freshman or transfer student gets paired with a rising senior mentor. Same with a rising senior to get paired with a recent UCLA alum to function as like a long-term mentor of sorts.
Thank you, Maya. Any other candidates? Avery?
Yeah, so just what we want to do is say that I appreciate all my candidates, all the candidates you mentioned about our organizations are such an important part of access and retention effort for marginalized communities, and we really need to keep supporting your efforts. But something that I really want to mention here is also the landscape of policing on our campus, because that has historically been another brutalization for brown and especially brown and black students on our campus. And if we truly want to create a safe campus for our marginalized students to be able to thrive, that has to start with abolishing policing on our campus and ensuring the systems of community power in place.
Thank you. Time. Would any other candidates who haven't spoken like to speak? All right, if not, Jane, would you like to give the 20-second rebuttal?
Yeah. I want to say thank you for all my candidates for speaking on their experiences, also their lived experience as well, if you're very vulnerable with that. But also want to be wary of when we make any of these big statements, because also being part of another organization, I hear a lot of people come up and be like, well, we want to work with you. But what does that specifically mean? I think when you look at my platform, you see tangible action items that can be accomplished within a year.
Thank you. Laura, you'll have the first response to the next question. UCLA has over 1,300 registered student organizations. How would your office work with the diverse array of organizations at UCLA? You'll have 45 seconds.
So this last year as NCC, I actually did work with a lot of student boards on working on the Hill and what would be best for residents. And through that, I've learned a lot of student orgs don't know what the communication pathways are that are available to them to work with student government on the Hill or in USAC. And that's something I definitely want to expand, because to hear a diverse range of perspectives from student orgs, you need to have those open communication pathways, right? And through opening up those communication pathways, whether that be social media or creating a new site to do that for student orgs so they can communicate with students and leaders, like student leaders in USAC, I want to share those perspectives to constituents.
Thank you. Would any candidates like to offer a 30-second response? Brett?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight part of one of my platforms. I really want to work with our student orgs who are offering basic needs to our students. Basic needs is really important. It's extremely fragmented here at UCLA, so using my capacity on USAC to expand those, either whether it's mutual aid, whether it's breakfast, whether it's food, clothing, just to expand the resources that the advocacy being done by student orgs currently to ensure that our students are accounted for.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to offer a 30-second response? Avery?
Yeah, so in my work as part of the Student Wellness Commission, I've gotten to know what the Student Wellness Commission's committees cover necessities, and they personally conduct a lot of mutual aid efforts to provide basic needs resources to students. And in turn, one of my platforms is expanding basic needs resources to mutual aid efforts, as Brett said, and I would really want to work with community service-oriented student organizations like Madeline and Verna necessities to be able to provide mutual aid resources for our students, especially when funding is being cut from our schools.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to offer a 30-second response? Talia?
I think what would be absolutely amazing and super beneficial to kind of connecting USAC and Gen Rep with our student organizations on campus is directly collaborating with them on events. I personally really want to create a forum where student organizations can reach out to my office and I can reach out to them and can work together to kind of put together an event that might bring them some more publicity if they're an up-and-coming club, or just kind of introduce them to a line of students that haven't heard of them before. So working together collaboratively.
Thank you. Would any other candidate? Paige?
I think it's really important to highlight and mention that our mother organizations, our cultural clubs, our basic needs clubs are the backbone of our UCLA community. They are what brings students together. And USAC needs to build off of that, to work with these clubs, to be the ones to reach out, to be the ones to plan events and invite groups to these events, to highlight these communities and these organizations that students can join if they want. It's how we as a school can build community and build a tighter-knit representation of what our students want.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to offer a 30-second response? If not, then Laura, you'll have 20 seconds to close out this question.
I want to focus on something Brett said, because I also agree, like, combating food insecurity and basic needs on campus is a really big focus of mine. And we have amazing resources available, like Swipe Out Hunger, CalFresh, and the CPO Food Closet. It's just about expanding them for students to help combat food insecurity. Thank you.
Thank you. Maya, you'll have the first response to the next question. How do you intend to make students more aware of the resources that USAC offers? You'll have 45 seconds.
So there are many different resources that I think could be capitalized on a bit better. My platforms focus on three main categories. So affordability, career development, and expanding club sports. All of these students span a wide spectrum of ideology, background, and they're all equally deserving of knowing how and where to seek help from. That being said, I think career is probably on top. I plan to work closely with the Career Center and other career-focused clubs to bring things like aptitude tests to career fairs so that students can know who they are before worrying about knowing their career paths.
Thank you. Would any candidates like to offer a 30-second response? Paige?
Yeah, I think ensuring students have access to basic needs is one of the most important things that USAC needs to focus on, and often does, but it could always be improved. Not only creating these resource lists, but intentionally distributing these to our most vulnerable communities Black and brown students, students experiencing homeless, students who might not have the resources already. It's important that we are targeting these communities and distributing them. In addition
Thank you. Would any other candidates? David?
So a lot of these platforms, including mine, visibility is key. UCLA offers a lot of resources, and I completely agree with Maya on career. As someone trying to get into consulting, it's really hard, it's really competitive, and it's really hard to land those internships, just like it is for other careers. So it's expanding that career, those career options, and allowing students to really explore other options, maybe something that can make them have long-term success and long-term happiness, or help them really reach that goal by inviting more companies.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to? Brad?
Yeah, I really like this question because, like many other people here, I get a lot of info off social media, whether that's from USAC. And so I think collaborating with our other USAC offices, but also using our following in combination to expand our people's access to what we're doing is a really great tool. So I think social media engagement is really important for getting our events out there.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to offer their take? Avery?
Yeah, so I want to agree with Greg's point about social media. The way that I online and stuff was by looking at a page from the Student Wellness Commission about hiring opportunities there. And as a part of the Student Health Advisory Committee, I work to amplify gynecological services and other services that ASH brings to students. When it comes to amplifying USAC resources, I would also really like to do that, but also meet with student organizations in person to best understand their needs and how USAC can provide better resources for them. So in that we're not only providing resources and bridging access to them, but we're also tailoring them to the changing needs of our student groups.
Thank you. Would any other, Laura?
So a big concern I hear from a lot of students is about, one, the huge amount of funding USAC gets and the huge amount that it seems like it's not used or that students are not seeing the impacts of. And a few years ago, we heard about like $1 million surplus. Like, to a student, that is concerning. How is that money piling up? So something I really want to focus on is highlighting those underutilized funding sources so that students can then go and apply for that, go use that to help their student orgs. You know, really focus on bettering the students through helping them access that information.
Would any other candidates like to offer a response? Talia?
I think it's super important to acknowledge that whoever does take office of general representative, that person can't do everything alone. And in order for students to really understand what resources are available, I think it really boils down to compartmentalizing your office and making sure that there's different people kind of working on different things. And obviously there's a foundation of like communication of what's going on. But for me, for instance, I want to appoint a director of inclusivity, director of professionalism, and compartmentalize my office to advertise resources and reach out to students.
Thank you. Jay, would you like to offer a response?
Yeah, so I want to shed light on this question, also how we should acknowledge what resources are not available in excluding students. Let's take TalFresh for example. TalFresh does not include international or undocumented students, and hence I work with External Vice President Office. We passed a resolution to support Wipeout Letters Room Fresh proposal, and currently working with UC Regent Student Regents on your books, and our Vice Chancellor to get institutional funding as well as UC Regents funding. So I think we cannot talk about this question without addressing what resources UCLA offers that excludes marginalized communities.
Maya, would you like to give a 20-second response to that discussion?
Sure. So I really believe that it's important to view the student body as a collection of individuals. So everyone is their own person, and so that we don't leave anybody out and we don't let anyone feel like they're forgotten in search of resources or internships or anything of the like. I plan to work with USAC Comms and the Daily Bruin to spotlight one individual a week.
Thank you. Paige, you'll have the first response to the next question. USAC appoints multiple members of the ASUCLA Board of Directors. What changes would you like to see ASUCLA make? You'll have 45 seconds.
Yeah. ASUCLA is, it focuses a lot on how we can help the students, but they need to be focusing more on which students are individually affected by their goals. We need to focus on sustainability, we need to focus on addressing marginalized communities, we need to focus on ensuring that all students have equal access to all the necessities we were talking about prior. I think that the ASUCLA Board of Directors needs to ensure that these are top priorities over the next year and shift their focuses.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to make a 30-second statement? Aye.
At the end of the day, these are student workers and they're living in LA dealing with the crazy cost of living, and I believe that their wages should be raised from the current $16.80 wage to at least $20 an hour.
Thank you. Any other candidates? Brett?
Yeah, I wanted to echo the increase in the wages, but I also wanted to illustrate that I've worked before with SLAP to help our striking unions to ensure that we're advocating for equitable and fair labor practices. And so I want to ensure that those who are appointed to the board of directors share the same values and align with us and the rest of the student body.
Thank you. Jacob?
Hi, yes, so I'm also a low-income student worker, and I am a student labor advocacy project organizing body member. And so one of the things we do is we table at these strikes, which we'll be tabling out this Thursday, and doing a lot of work with our personal campaign of the $20 minimum wage. And we cannot talk with the ACLA Board of Directors without talking about raising this minimum wage, and also acknowledging that UC does not have to comply with state labor laws, and working with UCOP and UC regions to create new policies that make sure student workers do have protections and do have safeties, because student workers do run the UC. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other candidates? Avery?
I absolutely want to echo what Jay and Brett said. Student workers do run UC and they deserve respect. They don't deserve to work in horrible working conditions or have wages that don't allow them to even pay their rent. We need to ensure that the ASUCLA workers have livable wages, that they have proper resources. Basically, this is the first step, but there's so much more that we can do for them, and that's something that ASUCLA Board of Directors needs to advocate for. If they aren't willing to stand up for student workers, then they shouldn't be part of the board.
Thank you. Any other candidates? David?
As representatives, it's very important for us to voice the needs of students, and as many of my opponents have said, students need to be heard, whether it's through wages or through just, having more support as workers. UCLA runs because of its students, and as such, we should give them the resources they need, especially since we live in Los Angeles, by far one of the most expensive cities in the country. As a local Angelino, I've seen that, and it's important that these students feel heard.
Thank you. Any other candidates? Talia?
I think within USAC we have so much access to so many different student groups, even just with all the different positions and officers that are present in USAC. And I think it's important that we take the knowledge that we gain as student officers and student representatives and have a direct streamline with the students that are elected onto the ASUCLA Board of Directors. Whether that be kind of addressing the low pay or the workers' rights, or whatever it is, the strikes that have been happening on the Hill, in order for students.
Thank you. Time. Any other candidates? Laura?
I definitely agree with what all my opponents are saying about increasing the pay for student workers and improving working conditions. That's an immediate need that needs to be addressed on campus. And connecting to that, ASUCLA is so hard to access for information and to talk to their board of directors. As NCC and OCHD, the Housing Council, we've tried, right? And students, we cannot access them, and that's an immediate need that also needs to be addressed if they are making decisions for so many student workers.
Thank you. Would any candidates who have not spoken like to speak? Great. All right, Paige, would you like to close out that question in a 20-second rebuttal?
As everyone here has said, raising student wages should be one of the ASUCLA's top priorities. In addition to raising student wages, it's important that we educate students on their labor rights. It's important to make sure every person who works for ASUCLA understands what their rights are when they're working and how they should be working, that they have safe environments and that they feel safe when they're at work.
Thank you. Talia, you'll have the first response to the next question. How would you collaborate with your fellow council members to achieve your goals in office? You'll have 45 seconds.
I think this goes back to something I mentioned earlier, is compartmentalizing kind of what we're doing, but also having a foundation of communication. I, along with the other general representatives, I want to initiate, whether it be monthly, weekly, however frequently we decide, but having a designated time where we can talk about kind of the concerns that we've heard, what initiatives that we want and how we can directly support each other. Again, no gen rep, no person in office at USAC can do anything just by themselves. And having that communication and streamlining that level of camaraderie that we're here to serve students, no matter if they're international, out of state, local, whatever it may be, we're here to serve them, and we need to all work together to do that.
Thank you. Would any opposing candidates like to give a 30-second statement? David?
So for me, one of my platforms is to bring hydration stations to high traffic areas like the Verna Walk, and doing that alone would be difficult. And it's something that I hope to accomplish because yes, it's expensive. I'd like to do it through corporate sponsorship and getting those corporations to come out. Yes, it's possible. Corporations love to be seen on campuses, especially one as big as UCLA, one that is by far the most desired school in the world. So, but it can't be done alone. Together, USAC looks strong, and to do it together would really get those corporations out there.
Thank you. Would any other candidates like to speak? Laura?
One of the platforms I'm focusing on is safety on campus, and I think safety can take a lot of different meetings for different offices, right? And working on that together is something I want to focus on. Like for first years, how do you live safely in the city? How do you use public transportation? For international students and for undocumented students, how can we keep our students safe during these times with the current administration? You know, safety is something that all the USAC offices should be taking steps to help improve, and working together through communicating with them.
Thank you, Laura.
Is a part of that.
Any other candidates? Maya?
Yeah, I think communication is a cornerstone in leadership in general. The beautiful part about the general representative office is that there's 3 of us, so we can really make collaborative efforts to appeal to multiple different groups of students on campus.
Thank you, Maya. Avery?
Yeah, I just want to echo everything that my fellow candidates have said. We need to make sure that we are communicating in order to properly show up for our students. But I think in order to work as a council, we also need to physically show up for our students. We need to show up for our students when they're protesting against the genocide in Palestine. We need to show up for our student workers at our AFSCME, lefty workers, when they're striking at Verna Plaza. We need to show up for students when they are under attack, especially for undocumented international student communities. And if we are not doing that, if we are not out there with our students and just sitting behind a council room, then we're not doing our jobs.
Thank you, Avery. Any other candidates? Brett?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I really value collaboration, and I feel like as general representatives of one of our platforms are cross-cutting. At least for me, I want to work with a lot of the other USAC offices and continuing their advocacy efforts. I feel like pooling the resources we have is incredibly impactful, especially with coalition and community building. I think that is how we make true change. We pool our resources and we work collaboratively with each other.
Thank you. Any other candidates? Paige?
I think ultimately communication is about partnership. Like Avery said, it's showing up when your students need you, it's showing up where you are visible and can be seen. Like Brett said, it's partnering with other offices. Like we've all mentioned before, it's about showing up and talking with our student organizations as often as possible. Communication is intentional, it's obvious, and it's clear. You have to be 100% honest with your students and those you represent.
Thank you, Paige. Any other candidates who would like to speak? All right. Talia, would you like to close out that question with a 20-second rebuttal?
I think every academic year there's so many unprecedented things that happen, whether it be last year with the protests or whether it be this year with our international students being threatened to get deported, which is insane. We have to work together to work on a timely crisis response. We need to let our students know ASAP that they're supported by AS.
Thank you. Avery, you may now give your 45-second closing statement.
Yeah, so thank you so much everyone for being here and for contributing to this debate. When it comes to my office, I want to make sure that I am providing solidarity with student efforts, especially those from marginalized communities. Being able to show up for students where they are is something that is very important to me, whether that be advocating for the needs of our mother organizations, expanding basic needs access, or fighting for a university whose morals and values match their student body. That is something that we can and should all agree on. And as a general representative, trust that I will use the resources that my office has at my disposal, every single one, to provide meaningful progress, equity, and solidarity with our communities on campus to ensure that the diverse needs of our students are being represented at every level possible.
Thank you. Brett, when you're ready, please go ahead with your 45-second closing statement.
Yeah, I really believe a lot of our students need opportunity, and whether that's opportunity for our transfers to get involved in USAC, student research, or working, whether that's opportunity for our disabled students to be seen, whether that's opportunities for our basic needs to be expanded, as well as our student organizers to be able to advocate without being repressed, and whether that's our students having access to life-saving resources. I believe what I want to do in my capacity is to expand these opportunities to ensure our underrepresented Bruins have the access to these resources and to ensure that I can advocate on behalf of the whole UCLA population.
Thank you, Brett. David, you may now give your 45-second closing statement.
Our student government has the power to shape how we as students live here on UCLA. I am running my platform based on actual student needs, community, campus safety, visibility, sustainability, and academic alignment. I'm not promising the moon, but I am basing my plans on real changes with real plans on how to implement them. Together, I know that we can make a campus where all students feel heard and involved, and together, we can make a healthy UCLA. Thank you.
Jaya, when you're ready, please give your 45-second closing statement.
Again, my name is Jan, I'm running for general representative, and I just want to highlight that everything I've been doing since I stepped on campus, and even as a summer student, even as a freshman, has been rooted in grassroots organizing, has been rooted in community organizing, and centering student voices. And these are things that I want to also emphasize and say, these are things I will continue to do even if not elected, because that is what I'm doing now, and I will keep on going. And I want to thank everyone here who showed up and came today. I want to thank my colleagues up here. I want to thank my audience members. And I can't wait to, see you all after strike on Thursday. And I will be here. I will be on Vermont with my team, May 5th through 15th. Come out, see us in pink and purple. Learn more about the candidacy, and thanks again.
Thank you. Laura, you may now give your 45-second closing statement.
Yeah, again, I'm Laura Keisha. I use she, her pronouns. And I really want to emphasize, I really do love this school and the opportunity we have to be here as Bruins. And because I love the school, I want to help improve the experience for students and add a little more security for students in that experience, right? Combating food insecurity, safety on campus, supporting cultural diversity in our mother orgs, accountability and transparency, also for campus leadership, right? And career readiness, making sure we feel ready after we graduate from UCLA. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you. Maya, when you're ready, you may give your 45-second closing statement.
Yeah, so in one word, I believe that UCLA students need access. At a school that is as big as UCLA, it can be so hard to navigate affordable basics, community, and career counseling. And I would really like to cater to every individual student's needs from every walk of life, whether you're an incoming freshman, figuring everything out, or a senior with crippling senioritis and about to graduate, or just a sophomore who's struggling to find parking every day. I am trained to listen to people through crisis at my suicide hotline, and I believe that's equipped me to make every voice feel heard and each person feel like they matter. My name is Maya, and it would be a pleasure to represent you.
Thank you. Paige, you may now give your 45-second closing statement.
The Office of General Representative is such a blank slate. I'm going to use that blank slate and I'm going to turn it into community organizing, uplifting, and creating opportunities for students. I'm going to work with our campus organizations. I'm going to ensure that every student is informed in their advocacy and has the opportunities they need to perform that advocacy. I want to work and ensure that every student feels represented by my office and that they can always come to me or anyone on my staff or invite me to anything they want. I want to be there and show up and step up for the students of UCLA. I'm excited and hopeful to be your general representative. Thank you.
Thank you. Talia, when you're ready, you may give your 45-second closing statement.
Over the course of this campaign and throughout my time as a senator, cultural rep, or just everyday student, I've seen the power that we have as a community when we come together. I came to UCLA as a first-generation student with a strong belief that there's so much power behind diverse voices, and that belief has only grown. But I've also seen many walks of student life on campus, and I know that no solution is one size fits all. So when I advocate for student safety, unity and diversity, professional development, housing support, and transparency, I'm grounding all of my actions in equity and inclusivity. Whether you're a international student, local, out of state, if you believe in UCLA where all students still belong here, we'll tell you and let's make that happen together.
Time. Thank you, General Representative candidates. You may now take your seats.
Thank you again to all the candidates for taking the time to share your platforms, and to everyone who joined us this evening, whether in person at the Northwest Campus Auditorium or online to the Daily Bruin live stream.
We hope that these debates provided valuable insight into each candidate's vision for UCLA and the Undergraduate Students Association. As a reminder, voting is a vital part of shaping our campus community, and we encourage everyone to take what they've learned tonight into consideration when casting their ballot.
On behalf of the USA Elections Board and the Daily Bruin, thank you again for being part of this important process.
Yay, clap for us too.